I want to give up my parental rights of my potential affair child. I was in a very high-stress situation because of family and business problems for months, and I failed to deal with it in a healthy way. My fault. I was a drug addict during my college days. When I asked my girlfriend for a date, she said I would have said yes if you were not an addict. I said, give me a chance, I will leave everything. We started going on dates, and in 6 months' time, I was no longer an addict. My whole relationship was built on this one promise. Whenever my friends would invite me for a party, they made sure that there was no drug around. But in a party over a month ago, it was there. I went alone because girlfriend was visiting her mother. As I told previously, everything that was going on in my life was taking a toll on me. On seeing marijuana, I thought just one joint, and I can be stress-free for at least one night, and like an idiot I did it after being clean for 6 years. After that, I didn't just stop at marijuana, I took other drugs and alcohol too. When my previous friend with benefits made the move that night, I tried to resist her initially but eventually gave in. I regretted it the next morning. I am not making any excuses. I am accepting that it was my bad decision because of which I was in that situation. I am just trying to give the whole picture. I told my girlfriend everything the next time I saw her. But when I told her, she told me that she already knew everything. What I didn't know was that acquaintance partner recorded everything and sent it to my girlfriend. She did so in an attempt to break our relationship. Some days later, girlfriend gave me a chance with some conditions which were reasonable, and I agreed. Everything was going fine until one day when acquaintance partner came to our home and dropped a bomb on us. She informed us that she is pregnant with my child. I took her to a gynecologist and I found out that yes, she is indeed pregnant. I just don't know if the child is mine or not. It will take a few more weeks to get a prenatal paternity test to confirm who the father is. Acquaintance partner is telling me that according to timeline, I am the father. But I am not taking any chances. I have told acquaintance partner that if the child is mine, I will pay her the child's support, and I will make sure the child has a good life. But I will give up my parental rights, and I will never be anything to the child and her. I have told her even if my girlfriend leaves me, she and the child will be nothing to me. In her last attempt to get me, she told my and her parents that she is pregnant. My parents started guilt-tripping me, saying that I will be abandoning my potential child. When I didn't budge, they started threatening that they will remove me from their will. They started reminding me how it will be a huge loss. I told them that I am doing very well, and in a decade I will not feel the loss. So when they saw that I can't be financially blackmailed, they told the rest of the family, even the extended one. Except my grandparents and my brother, everyone is against me. I have told everyone again and again that I will not leave my girlfriend, and that means the child has to go away from my life. I know the child is innocent, but I can't be the child's father. Even if my girlfriend leaves me, I don't think I can be a good father for the child, due to the circumstances of conception. Why can't they understand I may grow to resent the child? This has created a rift in my family. I want some outside perspective on how to mend this rift. Any suggestions? Your GF is seriously staying with you after this? Man, I hope she wakes up and leaves. No good can come from staying with a cheating addict, and now a child is in the mix. You can't just make this go away. You have potentially created a child. The woman sounds awful and the move sounds calculated to me, but that's neither here nor there. You made the choice to sleep with her. The baby is the consequence. Am I the antagonist for kicking a kid out of the swimming lane? Am I the asshole for kicking a child out of the swimming lane? Okay, so, me and my girlfriend go swimming quite often together at our local recreation center. I am disabled and can't do any exercise other than swimming and physical therapy, and I get anxious alone, so we swim in one lane together. We just walk or swim back and forth. There are 3 lanes. When we first got there, 2 were taken up by children and 1 was doing laps. It's super busy because of spring break. Later, after we got changed, some adults kicked the rest of the children out of the lanes so they could swim too, which I think at least was a normal thing, since children aren't using it for its intended purpose, which is exercise. Not only that, but it's supposed to be adult-only time, but it got extended to recreational because of spring break. There was only 1 empty lane left, and it was being taken up by 3 children that are in the middle right, probably around 9-11 years old. They were just splashing around as children do, and after some discussion, me and my girlfriend decided to ask them to leave the lane. We are both socially awkward, so we had to talk about it. But since that seems to be the common thing, they're not using it for exercise. We're trying to, and we're into children's area right next to us. I thought this was perfectly normal swimming etiquette. So we asked them to leave the lane, and they left, awkwardly, but without protest. Then, not even a whole lap later, after me and my girlfriend got set up, this woman, probably in her 40s, started screaming at us. I couldn't hear her since I was in the water. It wasn't until my girlfriend tapped me on the shoulder, asking if we were the ones bullying her children. Mind you, we are in our 20s. I obviously was very confused and asked her what she meant by that. This woman said that we yelled at her children to get out of the water so we could use it. I tried my best to be polite and tell her that we did not yell at her daughters. They got in a lane that was meant for exercising, and we politely asked them to leave, and that it's custom to let adults have priority over the lane since the children have a water playground. She responded by saying that we should not be kicked out of the rec center for yelling at her kids, and that I should have expected the lanes to have children because it's spring break. They were there first and all the kids want to play in the water, and that us being adults doesn't give us any more of a right. After some awkward silence, I told her she can take it up with the lifeguard, and at that point she left and scoffed to what I can assume is to talk with the lifeguard. But me and my girlfriend were thrown off, since we have some pretty bad trauma issues, so we decided it's not worth it, and left. We ended up getting some food and came back around closing where it wasn't busy. Am I the asshole? I get it they were using the lane first, but I feel like us very obviously trying to exercise was enough. Lap lanes are designated for laps only, typically enforced by lifeguards at other pools as well. If the pool is divided into lanes and open swim areas, it's not unreasonable for recreational swimmers to use the open half while lap swimmers use the marked lanes. As a former lifeguard and swimmer, removing the lane buoys is common practice due to safety concerns. Ultimately, sticking to the designated use of each area benefits all swimmers. Not the antagonist. Am I the antagonist for standing up to my sister and not wanting to help with the inheritance after my parents' death? I, 47 years old female, have 4 siblings, 50 years old female, 55 years old male, and 60 years old female. When I was little, my parents would ask my eldest sister, Mary, to look after us when they were out. We grew close, but when I reached the age of 18, I started to question her when she criticized our parents. She became very passive-aggressive or yelled at me, calling me immature. In 2005, we had a fight, and she stopped talking to me. She stopped talking to my parents for years because they defended me. She didn't come to my wedding, although she was invited. We had no contact for 18 years. My husband died in 2019, and she didn't reach out to me or anything. I was devastated, and my other siblings and my parents were there for me. She just ignored me. When my mother's health worsened, Mary reached out to me. We started talking again as if nothing had happened. Mary told our mom that we had all reconciled and that she could go in peace. Mary never apologized for anything. Then my father became ill and died. We started emptying the house, and Mary told me and Anne to take whatever clothes we wanted. She mentioned one of my mother's dresses she wanted to keep, but that we could take if we wanted it. By text, I have proof. I didn't find the dress and took the clothes I would like to keep. Now she can't find the dress anywhere and is accusing me of taking it. She also accused me of taking a book she wanted, and when I told her I didn't have it, she didn't believe me until I found it in another room, hidden under other books. She apologized but found it bizarre she hadn't found it. Finally, she is adamant that we don't take initiatives or take anything in the house before informing all the siblings. She told me to take care of the insurance of the house, so I did, and she berated me for not asking our other siblings first. Last week, I found out that she had posted ads for my parents' cars and boat. She hadn't informed me or Anne about it, although my brother had told her to. I also learned in front of the notary that she, in accordance with her siblings, was planning on taking the caravan. I was not informed. She also invited a real estate agent, who had come on his initiative, in the house without asking for anyone's approval. So I texted her that the rules were the same for everyone. She texted back, very upset, calling me a poor little thing for complaining about not being informed about her initiatives. She says it's funny that I'm the only one she doesn't get along with. I called my other siblings, and they have my back. They agree that she went too far when accusing me of stealing the book and the dress. We have to go through the inheritance process, and I don't want to see her again. I don't want to participate in emptying the house anymore, but I feel bad for letting my other siblings down. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to help anymore? Settling the estate can bring out the absolute worst in people, as it did in my family, benefiting the lawyers in the process. You can go no contact now or hope your siblings handle everything, but either way, it will be difficult. Have you examined the legal papers and considered consulting an attorney? Your sister may have been parentified by your parents, leading to her behavior, but it still sucks you didn't have a chance for a real sibling relationship. Not the antagonist. Got into conflict with my aunt, and my grandma wants me to apologize. My mom and her sister never got along. My aunt, was the golden child that could never do wrong in my grandmother's eyes. When mom was 15, aunt packed my mom's stuff and threw it out of the house. There were disagreements after that, but the major ones were over a house. Both owned part of it. Aunt did whatever she wanted and mom didn't mind until aunt changed the locks without notice. They almost went to court. When selling it, aunt had problems and went to complain to grandma, who threatened mom with her will. So as you can see, the relationships on my mom's side are not good. Mom never tried to meddle in my relationship with them. She said aunt is a great aunt, just not a sister. I have a cousin. She was a little spoiled, but I love her. She has a habit of appearing on our doorstep unannounced. My mother dislikes it because we usually have plans, but if it's cool, she's staying with us. So I'm getting tickets for my prom, and I invite my family, grandmothers, cousin, and aunt. In my country, prom is a big event, ball when you graduate from high school. But seating is hard to arrange. I managed to get 5 tickets into the main hall and 2 on the balcony, for aunt and cousin, so my grandmothers wouldn't have to go up the stairs. Aunt then said I don't care about them and I'm splitting up the family. I explained that it's a miracle I got 5 together. Aunt decided to call me, told me they are only going because of me, they feel left out. She doesn't get along with my parents and grandma, so did she want to bicker at the table? And then said that my mom is a bad aunt because she says no to my cousin? So I said that yes, they're going there because of me, because it's my prom. And to come and support me, it's not a family reunion. Then Aunt brought up whatever she did for me. Aunt bought me clothes when we were shopping and a cat for my birthday, even though my parents said they would, but Aunt said she wanted to do it. I'm grateful for it, but that doesn't mean you can throw it over my head every time we argue, no? No? Aunt even mentioned exactly how much she spent. Then a day later, Grandma called me to berate me how ungrateful I am, how disappointed she is, and how horrible I am. Honestly, I expected it because every time my mom and Aunt argue, Grandma then calls and berates her even though she gets one side of the story. In her mind, I'm ungrateful and my mom influenced me. We didn't talk about it until I cried because of the phone call. Christmas came and we exchanged gifts. There was none from their side and we didn't even get a thank you. And my prom rolls around. My aunt and cousin are not going. It was a little bit hectic. I only got to say hi to my family. I talked to them for like 15 min. Total, there was a lot going on. The next day my mom calls Grandma and she started berating my mother that I'm not raised properly. I'm ungrateful. She's a bad mother, that I practically didn't talk to her, and you get the gist. No, because it's always going to be something with your aunt. She's a shitty person right along with your grandmother. Sorry to say that, but it's true. Your aunt will say and do whatever, and you and everyone else will always be the problem, not her. Keep the peace if you want, but that's what you always been doing for the rest of your life. I think it's time, since you're an adult now, to realize that you're old enough to cut people out of your life and gray rock them. Block their numbers. If they come over, leave the room or give them short answers. Don't interact. Don't engage. They're not worth your time, you know that. You've seen how badly they've treated your mother over the past few decades. Do you really want those sort of people in your life? How do I tell my fiancé his female coworker can't attend our wedding? I am 24 years old and have a fiancé who is 27. He recently became friends with a coworker who is 19 years old, and I am not comfortable with inviting her to our wedding. My fiancé and I have been together for 8 years. My fiancé works at a restaurant and has made multiple friends at work, but I am not comfortable with him being around this one coworker. She joined the friend group of guys recently, and they have all gotten pretty close in the past 4 months, going out for drinks after work and playing football together. I have noticed that she seems to be interested in things my fiancé likes, such as anime and video games. She even started playing video games with us, specifically League of Legends, and using a trackpad on a Mac, which is nearly impossible if you are not into gaming. I discussed this with a friend who is an expert in relationships, and they said, game recognizes game. She recently broke her ankle, so my fiancé had to drive her home every night after work, and possibly pick her up for work as well. I even saw her name come up on the car radio and observed my fiancé carrying her up the stairs to her apartment every night. Despite having a broken ankle, she would still participate in soccer. This made me annoyed, but I tried to brush it off until a recent incident. My fiancé told me he would be working late one night, and I agreed that he should be home by 1 a.m. However, he did not return until 2:30 a.m., and I was already asleep by then. The next morning, as he drove me to work, I found a hair clip in his car, which made me suspicious. Instead of discussing it right away, I kept quiet and tried not to cry. When a text popped up on his phone from the female coworker asking him to pick her up at 4 a.m., I couldn't contain my emotions. I confronted him about it, threw the hair clip, and had a breakdown before work. That night, he asked if we could talk, and we went for a walk. He apologized for coming home late and explained that he spent time with the female coworker because she was having a panic attack. I expressed my concerns about their relationship, but he defended her, saying she has no friends and is going through a tough time. He insisted that she was not romantically interested in him and was simply seeking support. I found this frustrating as I believed she was manipulating him for attention. I am unsure of how to approach this situation and prevent him from inviting his female coworker to our wedding. I can't believe how blind you are to your fiancé's emotional affair with that girl. You need to wake up and recognize the truth before it's too late. Don't go through with the wedding. This man is not worthy of your trust. It's time to hold him accountable and seek help for the issues in your relationship. Boyfriend of 1 year told me how I eat is a deal breaker for him. Where do I even start? We have been having issues for a couple months now, and he says that because I am such an emotional person, I always react unjustly to his logic. So I am going to try to tell this as unbiased as I can for insight on if I am overreacting. It's Easter. I feel like my boyfriend seems off at his family party, but I brush it off and get on with the day. It's nearing the end and he asks me if I want to go upstairs for a little, and when we get up there, he explains that he's bothered by our conversation from last night. Last night, the topic of my eating habits came up. I should preface this with the fact that I am a very active person. I lift cardio 6 days a week, so it's not like I'm inactive. Also should preface with the fact that I had a pretty bad eating disorder from the 7th-10th grade, and then again freshman to senior year of college. I was extremely restrictive, counted every calorie, just had a terrible relationship with food in my body. Now, I can confidently say that this is the first time I've ever felt comfortable with eating. I try and make good choices as much as I can, but I allow myself to indulge without guilt. I eat enough calories and prioritize getting enough protein and vegetables. My Achilles heel is dessert. I have a huge sweet tooth and eat too much sugar. Like I'll have a protein yogurt in one of those protein muffin cups in the morning, and then after dinner I'll have a little dessert like ice cream or pudding or whatever. It's not like I'm gorging myself, but if I want dessert 4 nights a week, I don't think that's that horrible of a thing. My boyfriend disagrees. He said that he thought a lot about the conversation and realized that if I don't start eating better, less sugar and apparently fat, that is eat what he eats, he'll probably resent me in the future when we live together because your partner is supposed to make you a healthier person. I don't completely disagree with him, but I also really don't think I'm eating bad enough to warrant that sit down. And I just feel like it isn't love if it just goes away because I'm not staying in my macros. It just made me feel like I'm not loved and accepted for just being me, like I have to change, and further start thinking about food again like I did when I had disordered eating. He said he's concerned about my health and we're going to have kids someday, and nutrition is important to be on the same page about, which I get. So maybe I am overreacting. It kind of ended up in a really bad place when we had to leave, so we still haven't talked about what happened. He wasn't comforting whatsoever during the conversation, which is something we've discussed before that ended up being talked about. And it progressed into me not feeling good enough for him unless I do exactly as he says and live my life in the way he thinks is the right way. It was messy and things are really up in the air right now. What do you guys think? Am I making this a big deal for no reason? Am I justified in being a little upset, embarrassed? I hate the thought that I'm going to be constantly thinking about what I'm eating in front of him. Your boyfriend wanting to control your diet should be a deal breaker for you, especially with your history of ADD. A partner is supposed to make you healthier, not try to restrict you. If you're hitting macros and exercise goals, eating dessert every day isn't a problem. Stop questioning your diet over a man's wrong opinion and recognize the controlling behaviors he's engaging in. It's time to walk away from someone who doesn't see you as an equal. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.